Alrighty then. Gonna work on boutique again. Let me see here. Joe had done some work to remove some duplication. Yeah. Yeah, sure. All right. Should make some of the stuff I've been working on nicer. Oh, yeah, sure. Yep. Alright. Time to log into Stripe. Off screen. I need to set up the, excuse me. There's, let me see here. Yeah, Stripe secret key, Stripe publishable key. They're just test keys, but, you know, still. Alright, I've got a secondary scene set up. I'll use it when I need to blank out the screen. We've updated our privacy policy. Okay. Dum-dum-dum-dum. Sorry, I'm just getting these keys in place. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Need to use Stripe.js. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, they're V3. All right. Different method of creating tokens in Stripe.js V2. Okay. Pre-built components. That's interesting. Oh, I see. If you're not build your own payment form, check out. I'm not too fussed about it. Let's see here. Yeah, right, that thing. No, I want to make my own payment form. Although this looks pretty decent. Well, except for the... I don't really have separate, obvious form inputs. It's a little bad, but that's fine. Alright, so what I need to do is add to cart. And then we'll just make checkout, go to the purchase page, checkout page, really. So that doesn't really have to be a form. Let's take a look at our routes. Let's see what we got. I left intro turned on. No. God damn. Alright. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. Alright, looks like there's already a checkout. What's this look like? Yeah, sure. Not a fan. Alright. Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Maybe I didn't have enough caffeine this morning. Check out our store view. Check out view. Wait, why is this mad? Defined but not used CSRF token. Intriguing. We're not even actually going to have a form here. Wait. No, that's cart view. Hold on. I thought these were forms. Yup. Form action. I see. So we just haven't needed the CSRF tokens for that post. That is strange. Okay. Well, I'll blank it out for now. And, wow, that's bad. Product color prefix. Okay. Right, so you show them the cart, you let them change the cart. Check out now. Right, because if we don't have an address, now's the time. We know, we're not shipping any physical order. So why ask for your address? Because we're going to have to deal with sales tax. No, go away. Receipt/invoice. Final order summary with the subtotal, tax, final total. Looks like this one's pay with PayPal. Whoa. Nope. It's a pay with PayPal option. Okay, go away. That was a little bit confusing. Enter your credit card details or press... Yeah, if I read the text first, sure, but it looked like it was saying this was a PayPal form. and then you pay that amount. Okay, that all makes sense. And then I can go back and change the recipient details. I see, okay. Alright. Well, I'm gonna make that derelict. Nope. All right. Variable not in scope. I guarantee you it is now. All right. So we'll just make this a link to, where's my cart view? Cart view, cart view. All right. All right. Excuse me. How annoying is this going to be if I want to check out our I guess I'll find out in a moment. No, it worked. Cool. So there's a couple things I need to do here. We're in on purchases of ebooks already. Possibly. Okay. Yep, I don't care. All right. What's wrong with Twitch chat? Said it was unable to connect. Sorry if I missed any messages. Sorry about that. If you've said anything and I haven't replied, please resend the message now. I think the chat thing was having network problems. Alright, so yes, Full Tanky says working on your website. Yeah. Working on the little web app in Haskell. That is what I am doing. Alright, so I think when we go from the shopping cart to the checkout, we can do a reduced receipt or listing that just does title and line item price. And I think that'll suffice. Okay. Alright. So we need to make this dynamic, and we need to start reducing this down. So old checkout, there we go. Alright, checkout view, handler, HTML. Alright, well, it's definitely going to be nav. Wait, why is this in a do block? It doesn't actually need to be in a do block. Okay. So I need whatever cart view needed. So that's going to be cart products and product. Do I have anything in the cart model? Is there anything important there? And Joe's joining me in Hangouts. Hey Joe. How you doing? It's going good. So what I'm working on right now is I'm actually starting on the checkout functionality, which cuts across 2 or 3 different areas. And I merged your PR first thing. Thank you for that. It was, that's nice. It's a little hard to kind of refactor some of those queries and figure out how to exactly, try to line the sand, especially when you want the data to return in a way that isn't really native to the SQL. Yeah, in the end, like, you might be able to improve things a little bit, but you're never, like, 100% satisfied. You just kind of get used to that feeling. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the shopping cart, the checkout link. It's just going to be a link to go to a separate checkout page. And I was looking at Prag's checkout, and I think the basic structure is pretty good. They have a my details thing, which isn't really ever going to change. I don't really know what you're supposed to do about quote unquote my details in the checkout process. You know what I mean? Recipient details is basically the address. They collect the address, and they even have a special message that says, yes, we know you don't have any physical products in this order, but we want the address for tax purposes. Which is, yeah, okay. So that's a good question. I was actually reading up on this a little bit. So I definitely have to collect sales tax one way or another for anybody ordering within Texas, almost certainly for anybody within the United States, possibly limited to the 50. I don't know if, like if somebody's in Puerto Rico, do I need to do, like, sales tax or something? I know they don't get taxed for income, but I have no idea what the sales tax situation there is. International's a little weirder. I was looking into the EU VAT thing, and that whole situation is fucking crazy. It is insane. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the EU people. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, refuse their orders or anything, but like 15, 16, 17% VAT, unless you go through the trouble of getting it exempted as a work expense or something, is just, and the amount of, like, work you have to do to get it exempted is kind of silly, or at least it seemed to be. So anyway, Stripe does have something for this. They have it for, they have a sales tax integration as part of their orders API. Yeah, so their orders API is interesting. It seems like their orders API is kind of inhabiting a middle space between, say, Shipwire and what Stripe normally does, if that makes any sense. So basically, I could use the orders API to determine the applicable tax and what, I imagine like this PC0 4100 thing, I imagine that's a tax code. Yeah, I searched for it and the first result is what is a tax code? Oh, except you have to log in to be able to do that. Okay. I don't know. It seems to be a help page for a thing. Some kind of enterprise product? I don't know what this is. It's tax automation for businesses of all sizes. Am I gonna have to pay for a tax automation service? Is that what this entails? Sales and use tax calculation. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, alright, so Stripe is using Avalara, which I just looked at. It looks like I can set a VAT ID on the Stripe customer object for EU customers that have a VAT ID. Oh, God. Yeah. It's so weird. Origination, destination, SKUs. Valid shipping address when the order is created. Provider determines the appropriate amount of taxes using the order information provided. Add to the order in real time. Customers pay the updated total. You can later view the charged tax amount in your dashboard. Wait, what's a tax provider? Yeah, you have to use one of these services, Avalara, TaxStar, TaxAmo. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So Stripe won't do this. They're like, hey, if you just, make this somebody else's problem, we'll just clean up the JSON for you. Is that good? Yeah. Wow. Alright. Uh-huh. How much is Avalara? This is so stupid. It reminds me of this anecdote somebody told me. They knew these two hippies that wanted to start a farm, and before they started the farm, they they were very pro big government, state services, things like that. 2 or 3 years later, they ran into them again. They were pretty anti-government by that point. Just from the amount of regulations and everything they had to deal with. Oh man, just to grow shit and give people food. Yeah, they really don't want to tell you how much this costs. Avalara cost. Here, will Google take me to the right place? Avalara Avatax pricing. See, that's how you have to do corporate branding. You gotta have that prefix, and then you just suffix every product on the end of it. If they ever start a farm, it could be Ava Farm. Yeah, if they start a shipwire type service, it'll be Ava Ship. Right. Pricing starts at $50 per month for small businesses. Pricing for all businesses is based on a few factors, including... Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a conversation I need to have with an accountant or a tax lawyer. And a real accountant, not a bookie. So, I will figure that out later. I'll just focus on getting the basic functionality working for now. Oh, man. Alright, so they also had a receipt invoice thing, which for some reason you can't go back and change. I don't actually really know why. And then an order summary. And then the actual payment form. So, funny thing, Joe, you see this credit card form? So when I first saw this, I thought they were telling me that the credit card form was going to get run through PayPal. Right. But the alternating colors makes the PayPal thing like... Right. Because it doesn't say pay with PayPal. Like if it said that, I would have said, oh, right. That's... Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. It should be a separate form or in a different like container. You could use a what are the names of those elements? The little like not bucket, but where they have kind of that appearance of almost like a 3D sink into a panel where it looks like it's sunken a little bit. You could use different not gutter because that sounds more horizontal than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something like square or rectangular. But anyway, you could use like separate little like ditches or gutter things for them. What are those called? Hold on, Bootstrap. I know Bootstrap has them. Where's the no components? Panel is close, but not quite. It has a little more depth than wells. Yeah, wells. Yes. So it should either be in a separate well, or I think the reason they didn't just put it like a... Also notice, remember how I said pay with PayPal? That's actually, if you hover over it, it says pay with PayPal, but only if you hover over it. So I suspect that they didn't put the button down here next to the pay, with whatever card option, because they didn't want you to think you had to fill in the card information in order to use PayPal. So that's why they had to figure out somewhere else to put it, but they just weren't willing to give it enough room to be less confusing, basically. I don't really know exactly what happened there. This feels like something that got A/B tested or something. Yeah, just do the, combinatorial of however many variables and just pick the one that converts best. I don't know. I have a hard time imagining they get enough traffic to really A/B test anything properly. You need a test result with a lot of power, high difference between the results when you have a lower traffic kind of thing. Only huge websites can really make any use of small percent difference A/B testing. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. That's really weird. Because he even made it part of the same row color thing as the form inputs. That is odd. Oh yeah. Oh no. I despise PayPal. They destroyed a small business I started with a friend when I was 19. They took about 27 grand in our account and never gave it back. Yeah. I'm still holding that grudge, nursing that grudge 10 years later. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't like PayPal either. I very, very not fond. Okay, so I don't really need the cart because we don't actually have any data on the cart. So we don't really care about that. We do care... I'm going to have to add some stuff to the order record because I need to account for subtotal, which is what any coupons get applied to. I'm going to need to set up a coupon thing, because one of the things I definitely want to get for this is I want to be able to automate some of the stuff I have to do and that Julie has to do in Zendesk. Basically, every time we give a discount to somebody, we have to do it completely manually. We have to make up a name for the coupon. We have to assign it a discount amount and a quantity. Then we have to copy and paste the coupon, make a URL out of it. Then we have to reply to them in Zendesk, and then send out the Zendesk email. Right, so that's why those get backed up sometimes, and that's why it takes us sometimes like a month. We try to keep it shorter than that, but sometimes it takes us up to a month to get caught up on all the backlog. So, what I want, if you look at, you see this ticketing system thing right here? All that means is replace Zendesk. That's all that means. I just want like a form that people can type stuff into on the website, and then I just want the ability to just like click a button and say, hey, here's a, whatever coupon, have a good day, I didn't mind as much when there were fewer people, but it's actually like made it hard to like think, So that's why I need a coupon thing for the orders. Because I want to be able to keep discounting stuff for the people that can't afford the full price. Excuse me. No. So that's one of the problems of couponing I haven't figured out yet. So with Gumroad, you always create a coupon for a particular product, right? And I think I'll do the same thing here. I'll probably do that too, yeah. And that would probably be on the cart product, I imagine. So they would add to cart with coupon, I guess. You could argue that coupons could apply to an entire cart. I don't have a use case for that yet, if that makes any sense. Yeah, no, probably what I would do if I go to the, so probably what I would do is something like this, where there's, maybe a coupon query parameter or something like that. And then, you type in half off, and it picks up the coupon, checks that it's valid if it is. So one thing is pricing is missing from this page, right? It would do a similar thing as other websites do, where it would just do a strike through on the original price, and then it would say, whatever the new price is, and then add to cart. And as long as they add it to cart right then and there, then they're good to go. I could make the coupon a little bit stickier, so if they navigate away from the coupon and then they go back, obviously it's not in the URL anymore, right? And then the coupon's not going to be applicable. That would actually match Gumroad's behavior. Gumroad doesn't do sticky coupons. A sticky coupon would mean that for however long this coupon is valid for, until it expires or whatever, And maybe I want to put like a little message here if there's a coupon, like, hey, you have the ability to use this coupon, but it expires in, you know, whatever, days, months, whatever. A sticky coupon would actually stash it in their session object. And basically I would just keep like an array of coupons in there until they get used. And then once a user has used a coupon, they can't use it again, because it's going to be something that gets generated in the database for each user, basically. And I'm catching up on the Twitch chat now. Dan M. Beard said, be careful, I spent a few weeks implementing some stuff for a company with Avatax. They have the wrong API published in some places. Oh, God. Then Dan M. Beard said, I eventually got it working, but it's a dumpster fire. I was implementing it for a marketplace, though. So I have to take into consideration buyers and sellers' locations and Nexus, which their API was kind of awful at doing. Especially sucked because I spent weeks using deprecated API documentation that was just laying left around on the internet for some damn reason. Oh my god, that is horrible. Amazon's worse than Elasticsearch in terms of like crufty, poorly documented APIs. I don't know why, but everything e-commerce except for Stripe is bad. Stripe's good. That is the only like bright light in that space. Everything else is bad. Okay, so that's roughly the behavior I'm imagining for the coupons. As you might imagine, when I start implementing it, that's when it'll really kind of firm up, you know? But I think as a first pass, that's fine. Alright, so entity, cart, and product. So basically I needed to generate a view of the checkout from similar data as the cart gets. It's almost a mimic of the cart view, but I'm going to make a few changes. However, this is fine for starting out. So you reload and variable none. Oh, okay. Yeah, user cart products. There you go. And store. We're going to use checkout view. Variable non-scope price. Fair enough. That'll be because I am not calculating price. Yes. I may need to add an optional temporary view here. Okay. So the problem is I can't actually calculate the proper or full price until I know the tax information. So in all likelihood, you know, this will have to get refactored later, but I want to get a very basic checkout working with Stripe, and then I'll worry about it. Excuse me. Acquire user cart products. I really need to disable intro. Okay, I'm gonna do that real quick. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, I was trying it out again. Once every like 3 to 6 months, somebody tricks me into using something brittle. Okay. Now I'll just nuke it from my Elpa. Yeah, sure. Alright. Come on. There she blows. Alright, so store.hs. Oh, not fixtures. Store. Get checkout. Okay. And store view. You ever play the original Unreal? The game? Really good. Good music. Good kind of classic 90s shooter. Alright, so we are now in checkout. And okay. If this is null, we basically can't do anything useful. So this is, we're gonna take a look here. So we're gonna change this rendering. Right now it looks like the shopping cart. Change that. And we need to use a different rendering than cart item. So I'm gonna copy and paste this and dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is now going to be a checkout item, and what I'm going to change here is I'm going to render them a little bit more like an invoice. So there's not going to be a cover image anymore. Just product title. Don't need the tagline anymore. And we do need the price. We don't need the modification. Alright. Then I'm going to change that to checkout item. And we'll re-render and see what it looks like. Not perfect, but, you know, looks a little bit more like an invoice. Might give it a little more room. How much room are we giving this right now? 6. Should be like 8 and 4 pretty much. What about them? Yeah, the little motivational messages and that thing that just automatically refreshes, that's Michael Snoimann's thing, as far as I know. I don't know who did Yesod Devel. He's worked on the more recent version of Yesod Devel. I know that for a certainty. Made it a little more reliable, I think. Which is definitely something near and dear to my heart, because if Yesod Devel isn't reliable, then the designers I work with get cranky, and if the designers are cranky, I get cranky. Dum, 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 dum. Okay, so that's a start. So now we need something for updating and seeing their address. So for that, let's have a look at address. That's address, it looks like. Yep, unique user address. Okay, so they either have an address or they don't. So what we're going to do is make a form for address. So first we're going to need to be able to grab a user's address for user, key user, db, maybe entity address. And basically when we feed this into the form is basically just going to either render a blank form with nothing pre-filled in, or it's going to give them an opportunity to update their address. Mm-hmm. So what Joe's asking me is if I forget to put the on clause on here, can I ever get a, some kind of type error? Well, I think I know what you're talking about. So there's a couple different issues here. One is that the on clauses aren't really strictly obligatory. You can write SQL queries that operate over multiple tables without joining them. The results are really useful. It's not a very common thing to do, but it's definitely a thing. What am I doing? It's val user key. Yeah, I don't actually need to join here. Derp. Alright. The other issue is when your on clauses simply aren't correct, right? And then you're getting faulty results. Not faulty results, sorry. You're getting that that exception about, that noisy, weird exception. What? So that whole situation is basically the library needs the on clauses to be in reverse order that the tables themselves are introduced. There isn't a good way to... There's not an obvious way to make that type safe in Escalito as it exists now. It's a problem I would like to solve, but I don't... The only way I could imagine doing it would be with an indexed monad. And it would probably have to be a monad specific to joins, which would be maybe a little bit of a problem. You could possibly have the on clauses and where constraints and everything else living in the same do block. The problem with doing that is that you are essentially... I guess it wouldn't necessarily be that big of a deal, but basically you would have to force them to discharge all the joins in the correct order before they're able to do anything else. So I would be a little bit paranoid about the counterfactual case where somebody does something but it doesn't actually need an on clause. I don't know. I think it's a potentially spurious objection, but I'm a little bit paranoid about making things inexpressible that are actually valid. You know what I mean? So Joe's question was, can you use do syntax for index monads in Haskell? I don't think so. Maybe with rebindable syntax. I haven't tried, to be honest. Sure. I mean, I don't know how to fix Escalator right now. I have a couple different concerns. Some of them are much bigger to me than the join problem, like incompatible database implementations and things like that. I want to get that teased apart, but if I can figure out a solution, or if anybody else can figure out a solution to the join problem, which is one of the few ways in which Escalator is partial right now, other than the database compatibility issues, that would make me extremely happy. Not as much as you might think. Yeah. I don't, I mean, I think we might have some kind of, 10 or 20% time or something, but, I don't think it really exists in practice right now. Maybe it could, but I don't really know anything. What's going on here? It's really strange. Yeah. This is weird. Ah, nuts. Yep, that was it. Boy. Alright. Okay. Oh, right, it's entity address. And there you go. Yeah, cool. There's my address. 1123 Sesame Street. Alright, so now what I need to do is make a form for this. You haven't seen me do any forms yet, I don't think. Yeah, fun. Yeah, sure. Ugh. Alright, I'm of two minds here. One, I hate ISO'd forms. Not hate. I dislike ISO'd forms. B, everything else is worse. Everything else is worse. And actually, I should give ISO'd forms some credit. The beginner experience is rougher than Django forms, but making customized widgets and form renderers is actually easier in ISO'd forms. Even on this relatively young project, I already have custom helpers for that stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know what I was looking at, so I closed that module. Yeah, it's a little shop of horrors. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna rip off a form from auth, I think. Yeah. Where are you? Dun, 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 dun. So above, where's my thingy here? Yeah, here we go. Maybe, yeah, we'll include the entity because we can include the key. Interesting. I just now wanted a language feature that I don't think exists. So, alright. This might already exist. I kind of doubt it. So, you know how I use record wildcards a lot? Okay, so here's the deal. The way login... Sorry, I shouldn't say login. The way forms work in YSOD and kind of everywhere, you know, is it does it just kind of... Well, I really don't have like a render divs thing anywhere. It just does it like kind of field by field, right? So, for example, under arec, email prime is supposed to be a maybe text, right? And it'll have the form input pre-filled out, if that's just. Makes sense, right? What I want is a record wildcards that essentially does like a traversable sequence A of the maybe onto the contents of the address, so that I could reference the subcomponents as if they existed, but the maybiness is now projected onto all of its inhabitants. It's a silly, like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a bad thing to want, because really, like, the way you solve this is Prism, you know? Just, you know, mad. Mothers Against Drunk developing. And then, mad, just, and then whatever it is. Okay, named. Well, it's not going to be the nat, but, you know. Alright. What would be the downside to using prisms? I don't know, people whining about operators? It's my project, so I don't really give a fuck, but God, people really whine about operators a lot. It's getting to the point where I'm going to start making things operators just to, you know, scare them off. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, calm down. You don't actually need... Huh? I'm fine with the way PureScript does it with the obligatory name and then optional operator alias. I'm actually 100% fine with that. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't. I don't know. How do I feel? I don't really mind. If people want to issue operators, that's fine. I guess what gets my goat is people kind of shrugging off the language on that basis, because it just seems like a trivial objection to me. I mean, if they think operators are the hard part of Haskell, they haven't actually even tried to learn Haskell, let alone learned it. That's part of what it communicates to me, you know? The language is much harder than learning like a couple operators. For another thing, lens is completely optional, and it is extremely cargo cultable. You can use lens for a long time without really knowing what you're doing. All you really need are lens, traversal, prism, and then fold, ISO, getter, setter are all kind of optional, you know? Like, you don't even really have to pay attention to that stuff. Yeah, so I just have a hard time believing, like, oh yes, the operators. That's why you're not using Haskell. Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of times it's just like, yes, this is the reason I am not using Haskell. Yes, sure. And it's just, yeah, I don't really care nearly as much as I used to about that sort of thing, because I realize, like, do I want them to use this language? Do I want them in this community? Nah, I don't care that much. So then I just kind of stopped caring and let the self-selection process do its thing. Much happier person once I got to that point. Once I realized I didn't actually have to care. So, Joe asked, is this like an applicative parser? I mean, it is applicative. So, let me... So, kind of. The underlying, the underlying, like, M-form monad is a reader-writer state transformer. And, basically with the applicative, you're just scribbling a bunch of shit in there. And when it is supplied the final data it needs, that being the reader part, when it's supplied the final data it needs, it's going to return form result widget. I wouldn't think of it in terms of parser combinators because it doesn't really have the... it's not that nice. It's really like a function that does a lot of scribbling and waiting on final arguments. That's the way I think about it. Yeah, I think maybe that's part of the reason I'm a little salty at ESOD forms. I thought it would be like other things in Haskell, where, I would have some kind of, epiphany and, I would finally understand and all that. Nah, that's not what this is like. Nope. That's not how this works. It's just grossness trying to help make other grossness less bad. That's all it is. That's it. No, it definitely gets better. Like, I'm actually the only person I know who can write form widgets and custom inputs and things like that. So, it's gotten better for me. Like, everybody else just so badly doesn't want to learn it that they just always stay uncomfortable with it, basically. That's essentially been the story of ESOD forms for me. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine, like, Michael can do those things. Right? But... kinda. The thing to keep in mind is that Michael's had more contributors than you'd think. there were individual people who took the initiative on stuff, and they were able to get some good work done as a result. Oh no, I've got a lot to change yet. I'm thinking about what the easiest way to recombine that is, because address isn't actually accurate. I'm putting the address key in there too, which isn't an address, that's an entity. Also, some of this stuff is, yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm also missing address user, so that's fun. I'll handle it this way. I'll just put it in there for now. Okay, so none of this is optional. So that simplifies things a little bit. Commercial and PO box are both fields. Now I need to, bebop over to model, and we're going to import control.lens. And we're going to let me see here. Do I want lenses? Fields are classy. Oh, I think just lenses, right? Yeah, let's just make lenses. See what happens. Make lenses. Address. There we go. View. Well, it wouldn't matter in this case. Address is a product. The prism I'm using to walk past the maybe is built in. And in scope, password, maybe text. Yeah, fucking no. Here, fine. Just shut up. Actually, here. Let me... yeah, text, key user. Yeah, that's fair enough. I would have to actually make a custom field that knows how to render the thing to and from a SQL key. That's gross. Alright. So, I think this is a clear sign. It's going to be nicer if I just make a separate address form type. user and key. Alright. And that's bool. And that's bool. And that's form. Hey. Alright, so now we're gonna do is load this particular module and see if we have some right, no underscores. Yep.
That's why I was using field detector.
MPS generate lenses. Yep, you've got the. Then we get them for everything. Fine. Jesus. Make persist SQL setting. Whoops. Yes. RIP compile times. Password hash is applied to. No! It breaks all the things. Yeah, it turns the native accessor into the underscore variant. So all of yeah. Alright. New MPS prefix fields if your field name is unique. What? No, you bastard. That's not what I wanted. I want the... Make fields. Alright, make fields. Make fields no prefix? No, that's not it. Yes. Make lenses with default field rules. Declare prisms. Sure. Well, there's how you get prisms. Alright, I don't know. It seems like most people write prisms manually. Underscore no prefix namer. Skips the field if it doesn't start with an underscore. That's not what I want. Class underscore no prefix. Okay, I just need the inverse of this. No underscore. No prefix namer. Yes. Yes. Underscore. No. Make lenses with. Dun, 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 dun. Too lower. Yes. All right. It hasn't worked yet, so hold that thought. Alright. Ugh, what? What? Unsolved constraint? What? Oh, I've run into this before. Hold on. I even reported this. Hold on. Oh. There's an error in my code somewhere. And this is just a bad error related to my actual mistake. Here, let's try this. If I Google I shouldn't say type error, this error, and bite my app, does it come up? Yes, it fucking does. I knew it. Fuck. Identifiers aren't in scope. Okay. Alright. What identifier, name base, and make name? That's what it is. Alright, so probably I need to import controllens.th. Fuck you. Alright. Where do these come from? Where? Internal. Yeah. Give me that shit. There we go. Okay. Alright. Is it from language Haskell TH? If it is, I'm gonna be pissed. GC stage restriction. I have to put it in another module. Okay. Model. Model what? Lens. Model.lens. Yeah, not control. Yeah. To lower is not in scope. Are you fucking serious? Import data.car to lower. Make it happen, Gavin. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Fucking dipshit compiler. What is wrong? No underscore, no prefix. Alright. Make lenses. Alright, do I have to do that? Is that what this is? No. No prefix. Why? Alright. Underscore. I see. I need to update the lens rules to use this field to def function. Okay. So who gets past lens rules? I could use lens to update the lens rules. Okay. Yeah. Make field optics lens rules. Alright. Lens rules It's field def. Where's the fucking lens rules? Lens rules. Under no. Lens rules. Field to def. Yes. Variable not in scope. Make field optics. Why is make field optics not in scope? Make field optics. Make field optics. Make field optics. Make field optics. Why is it make field optics in scope? It's kind of weird, isn't it? I don't fucking know. I don't know if it's ecommit lens make field optics. It's wow, that's a hell of a module. Fucking Jesus. All right. It's lens internal field th. Okay. Variable not in scope, field to def. Perhaps you meant underscore field to def. Is there not a lens for that field? Yeah, I thought I saw them using list updated as well. Field to def. Oh no, they just create one-offs. What? Hold on. They gave it a specially named lens. They don't use the standard name that the code gen uses. Why though? It compiles now. Yeah. Okay. So hey, look at that. I win, fucker.
I don't know if I would necessarily say you win. Look at your imports.
Yeah. Yeah, the imports are a little ugly. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, so address 1, 2, city. I am losing the... Yep, I am. Alright, just to reiterate, whole thing. Province. Country. Commercial. PO Box. User. This doesn't actually need a placeholder. Because it is secret. Alright. We actually did that wrong. I need to just to ng key, and that'll suffice there. I need to edit the extra address out of these, so match on address, replace with nothing, save, and I need to couldn't match type key address with text. Yeah, sure. To is it from show SQL key? What? Show from SQL key. In 64 from SQL key to tshow. There. Have fun. Alright, could not match type address with entity address. So the next thing is we didn't bother to look past the thingy. So we have a way of fixing that. We're going to replace dot space underscore with dot to entity val dot space underscore. Save. Fuck. What is wrong? Oh, same deal. To from SQL key to tshow. Ah ha ha ha. I win. Alright. That is horrific. Alright. For what it's worth, I could have just lifted out like the prefix there, but whatever. Okay. So we're just gonna render this bad bitch and see what it looks like. Do we render it here? I guess we could. Address, widget, and something I don't care about. Where's the auth render? Where's the form thingy? Generate form post. Yeah, sure, that. The address, generate form post. Oh, it's going to be a bind because you can't run it outside of the thing. Alright, so now we're going to replace our tshow, maybe address, with widget render address widget, and see what it looks like.
This is pretty sweet. I actually don't know why my feel about it came together.
Hold on, you haven't seen what it looks like yet. Okay, that's what it looks like. But it did work.
Yeah, that's just style language. I don't understand anyway, so this is fine.
Yeah. This is cool. Alright. So what I need now is I need to create a separate well for the address form and dump it there. I think we've got panel body, panel footer. So fair enough. What happens if I just repeat panel body? Is that going to look goofy or what? Dum dum dum. Alright, you go ahead and do that. Nope. Reload. What? That's not what I told you to. That's absolutely not what I told you to do. There we go. We have to kill the first panel body ribbon. Yeah. Is it that? Yeah. Isn't there a is there a CSS accessor, CSS thing for last? CSS last sibling? Last of type, last child, last of type. Nth last of type. Wow. Support. Yes. What? Why do you have a version there? What? Edge. Yes. Okay. Don't bother telling me what version.
Probably because since they switched to Edge, it's always been supported, right?
I mean, I guess, but it'd still be like they bothered to put 1.0 for Chrome. If it's been supported since Edge has been released, then put 1.0. Don't fuck with me, man. I just want to know, like, all right. I'm just gonna slap it on there and see what happens. I don't care. Let's yes, you dumb blue bastard. What's going on here? Panel polo blue panel body. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Polo blue. Hmm. 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 Panel body. Wow, there's only one thing. Okay. Oh, it's right there. All right. Last of type. Is that it? Is that the? Yeah, sure. Make CSS. Hard refresh. That is the opposite of what I said. What is wrong with you? What does the last of type mean if... Okay. As originally defined, the selected element had to have a parent. Beginning with selectors level 4, this is no longer required. Match the last M inside a P. We are matching the last panel body inside polo blue of panel. What? Panel body, panel body, panel footer, panel polo blue. Yeah, it's right there. See? Last. That is last. That is the last. CSS. Every fucking time. Alright, this last child dude I want. Absolutely not. Okay. Oh, why does make CSS kill you?
Because you're compiling CSS. I just think it's hilarious. It might just be about get something not funny, but
Oh, yeah, it's the designer has like this whole thing with like the way he pulls everything together. So he uses SCSS, which is based on Sass, so it's these people. And I said I was fine with SCSS because unlike some other CSS languages, it doesn't need JavaScript. There used to be, maybe they've changed, but there used to be dialects of CSS that had to run JavaScript at runtime in the page before it could render anything. Oh yeah. So he said he wanted to use something that I knew was, fully static, and I was like, yep, that's fine. As long as there's no JavaScript. First of... Yeah. Do I... I mean, I don't actually want first of type, but... I mean, it might be that I'm just not understanding the intended semantics of first of type. It could be descending from... Nope, I don't know. I don't know on what basis you could justify... Oh, no, it's just both now. So, last of type did the first one. First of type did both. That's cool. 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 Okay, what about nth last of type every second element? I got it. That is obscene. Well, it's actually a problem because it breaks it for single element cases. So the problem is that essentially I should just make the ribbon its own class, really. Yeah, just apply it when I know it's appropriate. That sucks though. I mean, that really sucks. Because you really don't want to like turn your CSS into just like this completely manual kind of markup-y kind of thing. Ideally, your CSS can just kind of work against a fairly natural markup structure and class hierarchy. Yeah, wow, that is something. Well, somehow it's counting 1, 2, and then picking the second for nth last of type. But last of type doesn't do that somehow. Nope, I just checked. Those should be the only 2 panel bodies in there. Let's search. Panel body? No, that's searching the thing. How do I search the markup here? Search HTML. Panel body. 1 of 2. Last of type, huh? Yeah. That's interesting. Why, though? Rules? No. Animations, fonts. No, it's just CSS last of type. Not working. Why does .class last of type not work? Last type pseudo class not acting as expected. Only look at an element's type, that is its tag name. It does not filter by class selector. So it's the fact that it's a div. It's counting divs. That doesn't... Okay, last div in what scope? Under panel? That's still not the last div. You cannot... You'll have to resort to adding an extra class and or using JavaScript. Okay, so the way the rule rendered is dot panel body last of type. So it's going to be the last of type panel body dot panel dot pullable. Hold on, how is it going to do last of type if if we're not actually giving it an element type? Is it just using the first element type that occurs in panel body and then counting them off? Yeah, adding div to the selector didn't do anything. Dan and Beard said, why not just actually use an unordered list tag? Well, the problem is that we're styling display block type elements in the form of divs, which makes what the designer was doing with the CSS a lot easier and more malleable. I'm not certain you can use a UL and then items within a UL like a div. I think they're inline or inline block usually. Maybe you can mutilate them into doing that, but I think you end up fighting the way the browser wants to lay out a list in the process, because these are all getting laid out by the grid system, not by like the way the browser thinks a bulleted list should get laid out. Why are there two strongs wrapped around this? Where did that come from? That's strange. Hold on. Yeah, there's two strong elements wrapped around the... What in the fuck? Where? Let me think here. I think there's a gulp watch or something that can save me the manual recompose. Gulp CSS help. Really? Come on. Gulp. It's a gulp watch. Gulp watch CSS. Is that it? It is, I think. Okay. Well, I have an easy solution for now. Just remove the polo blue part. Problem solved for now. Alrighty then. So that's that thing. Action, update. Just address are, I guess. And not in scope. Address are indeed. Woof. I guess I didn't set a column width or anything. Just so it asked, so this is Emacs then? Yes. This is Emacs. I'll use other editors sometimes just to look into what the youngins are using, but most of the time I just use Emacs. Yeah, gotta be executing some JavaScript while editing text. Can't do text unless I'm interpreting JavaScript in an overblown document renderer. Yeah, I think some people might argue Emacs has better setup or tooling for Haskell. I don't think that's a good reason to switch, though, because I don't think chasing the ID functionality is a good idea. I think it's more reliable if you do like I'm doing here, where you just have your text editor focused on text editing, and then you just have terminals off to the side for other stuff. Vim has tooling too, but if you want kind of ID type functionality, Emacs has the best integration, mostly in the form of Intro, but I don't actually like Intro that much because it's slow, so I instead keep all the fancy stuff off to the side in a terminal. I have REPL, I've got Devel and all that. It's just a lot more reliable. Yeah, I feel you. That works in Intro. Type at point. You can do that in Intro. You just have to deal with like interminable slowness. I find that I prefer to do that let binding trick where I assert the impossible and then it tells me the actual type. I prefer to do that rather than deal with like, because think about it this way, I only want to do type at point like a couple, maybe a few times a day. But I'm paying the cost of Intro being slow pretty much constantly. So the area under the curve for that doesn't look great. Typos in GC are actually pretty terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, starting your book. That's great. Hope you love it. So we want to do subtotal tax total. So we're actually going to pull that. Yep, that is the sound of my dog snoring that you're hearing. Isn't it great? Yeah, my dogs are the best. I love them to death. I'm probably hearing Papu. He's a louder snorer. What is this whining about? I'm actually keeping quiet so you can hear the dog snoring. Although you might be able to hear my music coming on my headphones. These headphones are kind of leaky. Okay. I've actually been using YouTube more lately. Sometimes I use Spotify, but part of the reason I asked if you'd played the game Unreal before is because that's the soundtrack I'm listening to. I find for quiet background music, video game soundtracks work pretty well, and I think part of the reason for that is because when you think about how music is composed and what it's intended for, video game music is actually intended for a context where you're doing something else, right? While you're listening. So as a result, I tend to find that video game music works pretty well for while I'm working or programming, especially if I'm going to be talking to people while I'm programming, because it's less distracting. The music I'm listening to when I'm working or programming and not doing those things, just kind of during my 9 to 5, I'll listen to black metal or stuff that's more kind of enveloping. If that makes any sense. Yeah, I think most people played either UT99, UT2K4 for the most part. Not as many people played the first one. It was pretty cool. It was one of those games written for the era of dial-up modems, and it was actually pretty cool. They would, even back then, they had to have relatively advanced lag compensation to make the game playable in dial-up, and it was actually pretty good. It was impressive. Yeah. Carmack pioneered a lot of that. He basically just kind of made a bunch of that shit as an afterthought for Quake World. Like, he would try it and he was like, that's not good enough. And then he would just like solve these huge problems that have been like long-standing problems for networked applications, just because he wanted to play Quake or make Quake playable on the internet. Yeah, it definitely helps if you're John Carmack. These things definitely become a lot more possible. Yeah, I think part of the reason video games seem to always be at the bleeding edge of stuff is I use, JWZ, the Jamie Zawinski, the guy that worked on Netscape and all that. So I think he was the one who talked about this. He was kind of giving advice to people thinking of starting a startup, and the way he talked about it was in terms of cheese, right? Like, how good is the cheese such that the mouse is gonna come trigger the trap, right? And the example he used was dating apps. Because dating sites, apps, whatever, they can be pretty terrible, but the cheese is so good that people will endure pain for it, right? The thing about video games is that they're not, most of them aren't, except for EVE Online, most of them aren't spreadsheets, right? So they're actually fun. So there's a lot stronger motivation, both demand side and supply side, to just like really push the envelope and do a good job. So I think that's why. Because you got to consider, like, working in game development doesn't pay all that well and hasn't pretty much forever, right? And it's hard. Like, what I'm doing here right now is so much easier than what game developers do. So much easier. I just get to reapply things I already know over and over and over and over, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, the way drivers get optimized are pretty terrifying, but they're also kind of a problem because the pretty intense driver optimization, which in some cases what it's doing is it's actually working around infelicities or problems in how the games themselves are written. So they're actually writing around like bad game engine code. But one of the problems with that, though, is that if people then try to port, say, to Vulkan, or they try to port a game to Linux, the game will suddenly run a lot slower. Because often the Linux driver will just have a much more clean and straightforward implementation of OpenGL or Vulkan or whatever it is, right? And then people will complain like, it's not as fast. And it's like, well, yeah, because you probably don't have a driver that's cheating and breaking like specification rules just to like eke out 10% more frames,
Exactly.
Not really an easy problem to solve. Yeah.
That stuff is really difficult. That and anything that's low power.
Yeah, anything low power is rough. I remember talking to an embedded programmer about, let me see here. We were talking about how they had to minimize the amount of RAM used by a program, which also meant that the size of the binary mattered, because that, ends up, the code section takes up RAM, right? And they had to do that because the less RAM they used, the lower the milliwatts the RAM chips would need, right? And he was talking about how they would figure out how to mangle the output of the embedded toolchain for the C compiler to just like make the binary as small as possible. And basically they were just trying to avoid getting forced into turning the whole thing into assembler. They're trying to avoid that because they wanted to be able to reuse code between the many different hardware platforms they worked on. So, but yeah, it ended up being pretty rough.
It is a hell of a policy as the high-level target for code reuse. That's kind of awesome, but like also crazy.
Yeah. Not a job I would sign up for. Yep. Three.
Why do you need the closing tag for headers?
I don't. Yep. These should be separate. Panel heading outside. Yep. Just outside, so you are using Yesod on the back end. Yep, Yesod on the, yeah, it's much better. Okay. Actually, what does that look like? Man, what is wrong with this render div thing? It's giving like no breathing room to these poor bastards. Where's the width even come from? Is it just... I mean, it's not filling the horizontal space because it didn't grow like the button did. I wonder what's going on there. Who knows? Is that what you recommend for a beginner's first backend framework in Haskell? Honestly, yes. Partly because you can start with a scaffold and go from there, but you're not going to be able to get anywhere with Haskell web development until you've learned the language. There's just too much to know. It's hard. I think it's worth it. I mean, obviously I think it's worth it, but yeah.
I think that looks good now.
Oh yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm not expecting anything I do here to be final because the designer's gonna take it past everything I do, but I kind of wanted to get the basic idea. Okay. Next two bits are the Stripe integration, making the update address thing actually work. Three things: Stripe.js, update address, and then making it actually calculate in order and save one. So it's quick Twitch etiquette question. Am I supposed to be asking just about the task at hand, or can I freeform? You can ask a freeform question, but I'm more likely to ignore it just because it's hard. It's easier for me to answer questions for something I'm already thinking about, but I'm not going to say you shouldn't ask questions about what you might be interested in. Those should be hidden fields.
So, usability of Yesod, you think people should pretty much have up to bonet transformers to be
So Joe asked about where you should be in the book to use his code, and Joe suggested Monad Transformers. So this is the book I worked on with Julie. So if you look at what's included, it's actually got a list of chapters, starting here, going down, going down. So Joe suggested Monad Transformers. I tend to agree. So that means you want all that stuff done, thereabouts, to work with your code. Yeah, it's like 25 chapters, something like that. 26, yeah. I think composing type's 25, Monad Transformers 26. That's a good place to start. However, here's the deal. A lot of people consider monoid functor applicative monad to be the kind of core, like, you know, you've made it chapters, you know, especially after you get monad done, right? I think that's fair enough. And I've known a lot of people to start working on projects after they do monad before they've done these chapters, right? And some of those people have succeeded. If you get up to the monad chapter and you're getting a little itchy and you want to just go work on something, I'd say go for it. Just realize it might still be hard because there's more stuff you need to know. And if that's the case, then that's a good excuse to go back to the book. But if you find success and you're happy and you're building stuff, cool. Run with it. Be free. Alright. So we are right, because it's not input right now. Yep, that's my input that looks like a button. So we just need to give that the same treatment. Oh, yeah, I should specify. Method post. Ideally it would be a put or a patch. Yeah, you're right. It would be a put because it's a whole object update. Form HTTP put. Does that work? Nope. Yeah. I thought maybe it was only delete that didn't work or something, but no, put and patch don't work either. That's dumb. Alright. Yeah. Please fill out this field. Thanks, HTML5. Oh. Oh, that's dumb. Alright. Well, there's an easy way to fix that. Address form. Maybe text. Aopt. Everything else is required. Except it's not labeling these bools properly. What the fuck is up with that? What in text with maybe text? Yeah. Okay. There. Behave yourself. cool. Alright, so now that posts. I need to figure out why the... Is it labeled? Is that the thing? Where's my... Source, handler, store, review. Is it labeled? Labeled. Labeled? Labeled. Okay. So, labeled. Well, it's using placeholder. I think I can replace placeholder with labeled. And it should be okay. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, you can't really have a placeholder on a bool. Yeah. Cool. What do you mean justify? I'm sure there's a way. The problem is going to be that there isn't super descriptive markup coming from render divs, which is just kind of a default render provided by YSOD forms. So structurally, they aren't really related to each other. They're in separate divs, and the inputs are just under those separate divs. There's no grid system aligning them. I would need to make a render divs that is bootstrap grid aware and used a consistent column for the bool inputs. I know I'd have to make a special bool field as well because it would need to actually take advantage of the columnar rendering. So the form renderer would do this part, the div class equals required, and then the well, maybe I could just do it in the form renderer. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure somebody cares. I mean, I care how this stuff looks. It's just that I'm trying not to do too much front-end work because I need to know what the final design from the designer is going to be. And, yeah, so I need to see what he's going to do before I start chasing down a white whale, you know. Once I know what the design that we actually want and are happy with and everything, then I'll get bloodthirsty about making something work. Screen reader stuff's coming along. I still need to test on Windows. I also need to make the EPUB not super plain somehow. I wasn't going to, however, EPUB plays a lot nicer with screen readers for the visually impaired. So, yeah, I don't have a choice. Yeah, I did notice that when I was looking at different publishers and other places at what kind of story they had for the visually impaired, the answer was mostly none. Only universities had anything about accessibility for documents and things like that. And in fact, one of the best websites I found documenting and explaining screen reader options, how to use them, how to make stuff like mathematics work in screen readers was, I think, Penn State's accessibility page. They had some really good documentation there. I plan to make something that explains how to how our EPUBs work, what screen readers I tested, how to configure and set them up, how to install the fonts that make stuff like the Lambda characters work properly in the screen reader and all that. That's the main thing I'm fighting right now. It's just coming up with. It's not enough to actually do something and get the screen reader working on my computer. I need to write it out as a process and say, I did this, and then this worked. But then, once I get that done, boom, I'll be the publisher with the nicest accessibility story for the visually impaired. Scalable work, right? So, yeah. It would be nice if somebody would teach using the book. I don't think it's going to happen until the print version comes out, though. I think for a lot of you... Dexter's dead, man. Oh, take up his post at UT. That would be a little hard. I don't even have a bachelor's degree. I don't have any credits. I'm not credentialed. I guess. Alright, I'm just gonna implement this thing here. Post. I put it in auth, didn't I? I did. Let's not. Okay. Post. Oops. There you go. Result login. And I potentially need to pick up a redirect for this, because after they update their address, they need to go elsewhere. So, yep. So, I will worry about that in a moment. No, it definitely would. Yeah, I want to send it back to the checkout page. It's just that I'm not going to worry about the redirect until I finish writing this. Nope, doesn't matter. Okie dokie. Same. I heard somebody yawn in the background, so I decided to say same. What are my other possibilities? Man. Well, form error is going to be a problem. Form errors are going to be a problem. Okay. Basically, I should specialize this checkout. Because because I don't have a good way to pass errors around here, and I'm not gonna smuggle errors in through the sessions because that's horseshit. So what we're gonna do is this is narrow point to the address user and address key. Well, let's require user first. There we go. And then run db user key case maybe address of no, not even that. No, we just want to make like a update or insert address helper like we made for something. Like a creator update cart thing somewhere. Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Yes. Very good. Alright. Yeah, it's not going to be that similar, but it's okay. Yep, makes medicine go down. Alright, we just need address. It's in the address. One of these days I'll make something that just generates all the assignments. Currently I have to do it manually. One of these days. No, that's not a good prototype. That's a better one. Why is import pulling a bunch of obnoxious stuff all of a sudden? Because lens is in scope for some reason. I probably added it. I shouldn't have. Ambiguous occurrence update. Seriously, where is this coming from? No, it's just a clash. It's fixed now. It was coming from classy prelude, you said. I think classy prelude, you said. Classy prelude, you said pulls in persistent stuff that I need to get rid of if I'm just using it. Scalito. I feel like this could be code-genned. Or abstracted over. Maybe with generics, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm using address user. Nope. Shadows. Well, it wouldn't be a scope anyway. This is where clause doesn't. Well, it sees the. Does it even see the arguments? I don't know. Anyway. Do I need to val all this? Is that what's going on here? Yeah. So that I don't have to re-query it out of the database. I'll just construct the entity. What? Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, I gotta whip out the Scotty for those error messages. My dogs are very relaxed. Alright, let me see here. Nifty. Alright. Look at that. I can update my address now. Cool. Alright. I guess, next up is Stripe and calculating a final order from a successful purchase and saving the database. However, it is very nearly midnight, so I think I'm going to call it a night. So thanks everyone for joining me and Joe, although you didn't get to hear Joe. I had that privilege. I apologize. And hope everyone enjoyed the stream, and I'll be around soon enough. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.